Welcome to the Well Off Podcast, where the goal is to motivate, inspire, and share success principles. Once again, George Masri here, and I am speaking with Ryan Carr on this episode. Young guy, he's got a lot going on for him. In fact, he recently worked on a tiny home project, which is pretty cool because I think the GTA could use more tiny homes. And I'm sure there's going to be lots here that you guys are going to find useful. Although we didn't discuss the tiny homes on this episode, we did talk about a lot of things that he's been working on and the journey towards his own success as a full-time real estate investor. So check it out. Let me know what you think by commenting and reviewing on iTunes.
I'm here with Ryan Carr, and we're going to talk about some real estate stuff today. Now, Ryan's a young guy, doesn't look very old at all. Actually, I thought he was significantly younger than me, but he's accomplished a lot so far in his career. He's got a ton going on. I know that just looking at your website, you've got some information about buying houses. We buy houses fast. You've got rental conversions. You specialize in the vertical split, rent to own, all sorts of different things. So maybe we can start off if you just want to tell us a bit about where you grew up and your past for real estate.
No problem. So again, Ryan Carr, 30 years old, grew up in Markham. My past before real estate was interesting. I used to be, I guess I still am, a licensed mechanic. I went to Durham College to get my ticket and all the way through from high school to college and just after college, I was very good with my hands and ended up going through, getting my license and all that stuff. And then I realized that it wasn't really for me, right? So after I got all of these credentials and all this great stuff, I'm like, you know what? This job kind of sucks. I don't like it anymore. It's not fulfilling. So during that time when I was kind of on the fence about being a mechanic, I was also working for a company building armored cars. And we were building these like really cool high-end luxury SUVs. And they're worth like $1 million, right? And they had the cappuccino machines and the Xboxes and all that stuff inside. And it was great, except for the fact that the company did a mass layoff about 3 years into my employment there. And I was out of work. So I was looking for a job. During that time, while I was working there, we had bought a rental property as well as our own principal residence, and we had made a few bucks with that stuff. And I said, hey, you know what? This real estate thing's all right. How about we just take that up? And that's kind of how I got started in houses.
Mm-hmm. And how you were pretty young when you got started. I think what was it? What year was it that you bought your first one?
Oh God, when did I buy my first one? 2012. I've been doing this for about 5 years or so. So probably around 2012.
Yeah, around 2012. So you're 30 years old now. At that time, what gave you the courage to get into investing in real estate?
The courage is tough. I mean, like not having a job and being laid off, that's a pretty good motivator. You got to make money, right?
Right. At 24 years old, you are not really making money by buying a place, but you're building wealth. So what was going through your head? Yeah,
I mean, I was always really good with like flipping stuff on Kijiji and working with my hands, and I would flip anything from like mattresses to tractors to antique cars to like anything I could make spread on. So I mean, the transition to real estate was obviously significantly different than that, but I mean the building blocks were kind of there. I guess the biggest motivator for me was like literally like I need a job, and real estate seems to be pretty lucrative for people, and it was for me at that time, and it's been really great from that point on. So I guess my motivator was a job at the time.
Cool. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And at the time, did you have anyone in your family that was an investor, or was there someone that you looked up to? How did you know what to do, or did you even know what to do?
I didn't. I had some family that did construction, but I didn't have any family that were investors, like to coin the term. It was a lot of self-teaching, man. Like a ton of YouTube and HGTV and, reading books, and anywhere that I could find some information, just do it. And like we first got started by buying our principal residence. Like I didn't know what the cost of a 2x4 was. Like I knew nothing about construction. And then progressively, we just kind of learned more and more as we went. And I was doing this evenings and weekends. And then at that time, we had bought our first rental property on the advice of my realtor, and just kind of took it from there.
Cool.
Yeah.
And were you doing this by yourself, or were you investing with someone? Because you said we.
Yeah. So I mean, like my wife and I, but it was mostly just me. Like there was no team. I mean, her and I were painting and we're decorating and we're carrying drywall and all this stuff. Eventually, she sort of got out of the real estate side of the business and did something else, and then I filled in the gaps with staff.
Got it.
Yeah.
So she's been with you from the beginning, from the first property till today?
Yeah. So our first principal residence was a total wreck. Great spot. It was on a couple acres, and like, it was a nice home to live in. But I mean, when we bought it, needed kitchens and flooring, and the basement was wet. Like everything about it was bad. It was a bank sale, and the bank basically made us sign this piece of paper saying the house is full of mold, the well doesn't work, the basement's wet, it's going to fall down. Everything about this place is bad.
Right.
That was our first experience with real estate, and we were like, oh my God. Even though it didn't have some of those issues, we still had to sign off on that. So we started for
you were still okay with that, even with as a first-time home buyer. Typically, you want to get into something safe. Not only did you get into something that needs to be renovated, but it's an as-is power of sale kind of thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
My realtor actually tried to talk us out of it. She was like, "You guys are ambitious, but this one's like really ambitious." And we're like, "No, we're gonna do this. We're going for it. It's got a big yard and a detached garage. We're into that." So that's how we took it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, what did your parents do for work when you were growing up?
Yeah, so my dad is in retail clothing, suits and ties, and my mom did manufacturing with seamstresses and sewing and home decorating and stuff like that. So she was more the interior design side, and my dad was more of the he was more of the businessman type of side. So I kind of took a little bit from both of them and sort of merged it all together, and out came this thing called real estate.
Right.
Yeah.
And what do they think of where your business is at today?
I think they're pretty happy. It took a little bit of time. Nobody's ever asked me that, which is cool. It actually took a little bit of time for them to get on board with what I was doing, because like buying houses is a pretty big deal for a lot of people, especially a first-time home buyer wanting to do it again and again and again, right?
Yeah.
It took a little bit of time for them to get on board. They're relatively conservative people, and now they're very supportive. They get it. It makes sense. I can explain it to them. And our conversations always relate around the business of real estate and the market and stuff like that. And it's fun, but it took time for them to back it up. Yeah.
Did they try to talk you out of doing some of the things you were doing?
Yeah. They're like, "Are you sure? That's a lot of risk. That's a lot of money." And I'm like, "I'm not really sure, but I got a pretty good idea, and we're gonna try it and see how it goes." So yeah.
I know you kind of touched on this, but the question is, maybe on a deeper level, why did you start and continue? Maybe why did you continue investing after that initial one? I know you said it's because you needed a job at first, but moving forward, that's not enough to keep you going. What keeps you going?
Yeah. So, what keeps me motivated now is I like the thrill of the chase, and I like the hustle, right? At first it was like literally just needing employment. And then it moved to, okay, how can I build this as a business? What are my cash flow numbers? And now I'm like, how many deals can I do? How can I grow the team? How can I be more efficient with my time? So I think streamlining the business and making it just that, like a business, is what motivates me now, as opposed to before. It was like, how can I make this house look? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of morphed over the years.
Got it. Is there an ultimate goal in mind?
Ultimate goal is really challenging for me right now. Obviously, having a really good lifestyle is important. I think having good return on time is very important. It's something that I've struggled with as a business owner in the past, because when you start out, you're like, well, I can do that myself, and I can do that myself, and why would I pay somebody to paint my walls when I know I can handle it, right? And now I'm trying to think, like, how can I grow this long term, and how can I take this with a team so that instead of just going a short distance, we can go a long ways and make it a repeatable process. So that's kind of where I'm focusing my efforts now.
For sure. And what does your lifestyle look today? Are you working 24/7, or do you have those 3 to 4 vacations a year? That you hear people that have been investing for a while, they take those kinds of vacations.
Sure. I work a lot, dude. Like, I work a ton. I think that it's important to put in the effort where it's required, so that the business does continue to perpetuate when you do want to take that time off. But right now I'm enjoying the hustle, but do we take time off and like go away on vacations and stuff? We do a couple weeks a year, 2-3 times a year, something like that. But it's not a big lavish lifestyle.
Not yet.
I'm not a lavish guy yet. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm sure you're going to build towards it. And so do you have an idea of how many homes you want to own? Are you looking to buy and hold right now, or are you more into flipping?
I'm a 50-50 guy. I've been a 50-50 guy pretty much since I've started. So I like the income generation side of flips, because like you're in and out and you've got that quick capital to work with. But I also like the passive income model of buy and hold real estate, because it's, every month, if you keep getting checks from your tenants and the business is running as it should, like that's great, right? But you got to make sure that you set it up right to begin with.
Right. So 5 or 10 years down the line, what do you see yourself having more of? Buy and hold properties, or do you see yourself flipping more?
I kind of like the 50-50 model. So 10 years down the road, I think I'd have to evaluate the return on time at that point. Right now, I'm pretty comfortable 50-50, but I may have a big family at that point, and things may change. I mean, in the next 1 year, do I see that changing? No, I don't. But in 10 years, that could absolutely change. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm looking at, or while looking at your website, I saw a list of all the things that you do, all the services that are provided.
Yeah.
Are you mostly focused on one thing? So I'll name a couple. You've got We Buy Houses Fast, rental unit conversions, rent to own, second mortgages, realtor services, and consulting services.
Right.
Is there anything in particular that you're more focused on? And can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing with these services?
The We Buy Houses Fast type of stuff is, in my opinion, where the money is made in the industry. I think that the money is made on the buy, not on the sell. Like, you've got to buy low and pay whatever trades you need to pay to make it marketable, and then sell at market. Like, you can't control what you're going to sell for, but you can control what you're going to buy for within reason, right? Otherwise, you don't buy it. So that is the biggest part that I'm focusing on now. A lot of marketing on the back end, making sure that the properties, when you buy them, the numbers line up.
Got it. What kind of, so are you offering second mortgages yourself?
I would do them for sure. So it depends on the deal. Some people need construction financing. Some people need just to, have cash to get out of a situation, whatever that situation may be, whether it's family or separation or whatever, right? Absolutely.
Are you setting someone up with a mortgage, as in maybe like through someone's RSPs or something like that, or are you loaning out your own money?
It would be a little bit of both. So again, it's very dependent on the deal.
Yeah.
If somebody came to me and said, "Look, this is my proposition. I need a second mortgage for 2 months for construction financing, or 5 years for a car loan repayment," or something like that, we can kind of structure it backwards based on their needs. So if it's my capital, great. If it's a partner's capital, great. Just depends on what everybody's risk appetite is for what we're loaning on.
Got it. At this point, is it a struggle for you to get financing for properties? Are you capped out, or are you still at that point where you can still get mortgages?
I'm long capped out with an A lender. The thing with the banks, right, is that like for anybody who's got more than like 5 properties, like they think you're a nobody. You know what I mean? It makes it really hard, especially when you're self-employed. Being self-employed is like the toughest thing ever. To show the right amount of income and structure your tax return exactly the way that the banks want to see it, but not pay too much tax. And like, it's a real challenge. So A lenders are pretty much out for me. JV partners are a good way to go in that respect. Some B lenders or some credit unions are also another way to go. I'm looking into those avenues as well. Some people have really helped me out there. So I'm capped out with the big banks, long past that, but we're trying different alternative methods.
Cool.
Yeah.
On that note, do you feel that going the JV route is better than going with private mortgages? People always say joint ventures it's the most expensive money you can get, or you can go private and get like 12% or whatever. What's your thought on that?
Depends on what you're doing. So as much as I hate an "it depends" answer, I do want to break it down. So for a lot of the people listening, if you're going to flip, for example, and you've got a house that you're going to buy for X and put X into, and then resell it for a certain amount, to borrow money short term at 12% is really not the end of the world. Like, if you're in and out in 6 months, borrowing at 12%, even though it may seem like, oh my God, 12%, why would I pay that when I can borrow from the bank at 3%, right? That may be cheaper than splitting the deal with a partner. So in that situation, if money, dollars and cents, is the only goal for that project, then maybe paying 12% is a better way to go, right? On the flip side, if you're looking to build a relationship with a JV partner, and they say, "I just want to get into this deal, let's test the waters, let's flip this house. And if you're a good person, then I'll reinvest more capital with you." Then maybe that 12% method would have saved you some money, but now you've lost the lifetime value of that JV partner. Right. So you got to play both sides of the coin and see what's going to be better long-term if that's your end game.
Right. And what kind of advantages can you have from having a good relationship with a JV partner?
Tons. I mean, you can have unlimited partners. Like, if you go find 5 people that can qualify for, we'll just use the big banks, 5 properties, right? Well, there's 25 deals, whereas you could only get 5 for yourself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, long-term lifetime value of a JV partner, not just what they can bring to the table, but I mean, their periphery of friends and their circle of business and all that stuff. It's more important than just the dollars and cents. The relationship absolutely comes with value attached to it.
Yeah, and I'm sure some of them can also add value and teach you certain systems and things like that to help you in your business.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Who serves as an inspiration to you today?
As an inspiration to me today? can't answer that. I don't really idolize people in that light. Like I don't look up to somebody and say, God, I wish I could be that person. Or, I think there's aspects of a lot of people that people can pick and choose from, but I don't like hold the light to somebody and say, Richard Branson, that's my guy, or Steve Jobs, that's my guy. I mean, they've done some brilliant things with business, but I don't really idolize people like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there anyone maybe in your circle, maybe someone within your immediate family or something that has inspired you?
I think everybody inspires me, man. Like when you come to the meetup groups in the evenings, and when you go to, to do podcasts just like this, and then when you go and you read a book from some unknown entrepreneur out of like Alberta or something, or Texas or Europe, you know what I mean? Like all of those people are very inspiring in their own right. And I think I just compile all of that information and I just keep it to myself, and I operate my day-to-day like that. But like I say, there's no one person in my immediate circle that's like, I want to be him or her.
Got it.
Yeah.
And you touched on some of the groups that you're a part of. Can you tell us if there are any real estate groups or other groups that you find have helped you in your career and maybe even in your personal life?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, Durham REI for me is a big one. When I first got started, because I invest mostly in Durham region, they were there. I found that group from like a We Buy Houses telephone pole sticker. Oh, yeah. So I called it, and I got this guy in the other end, and Quentin D'Souza was the guy that picked up, and he called me back and he said, look, I don't have any houses to sell you. I usually keep them, but come on out to my meetup group, and you can be a member there and hopefully learn. So that's where I really got going. Real Property Investments is a good one out of Thornhill. York Region Real Estate Investors out of Newmarket's a big one. I've spoken with them a few times. I've never been to a Rockstar Real Estate Group meeting, but I'm sure they've done fantastic things out that way. You hear about them all the time. I think you're a member of Rockstar, right?
I'm an agent with Rockstar.
Okay, so you get it. Yeah. Like there's tons of people out there that are just doing such fantastic stuff with their meetup groups. And they're really economical to go to. Like, where can you go for whatever the membership fee is at Rockstar, for example, or $50 a night at Durham REI, or $25 a night for a lot of the other groups, and learn all of these things that other people are teaching you that you would never pick up anywhere else. Like, where do you go for that? You just, that's great value.
And what kind of relationships do you have with other investors, and how valuable are relationships to you?
Very valuable. So, I mean, just like I was saying with the JV route, if you got JV partners that trust you, like explicitly trust you with their money and their respect, you can't replace that. You know what I mean? So I have partners that literally just say, like, here's cash, go out and do what you do with it, and come back with more, right? And we'll carry on. And it's been a great relationship because I treat their money like I would treat my own.
Right.
If I would risk my own money doing something that might be a little bit off the beaten path, I would do the same with theirs. And if I think that, this deal probably isn't for my own cash, then it wouldn't be for theirs either. So straight up, like, relationships are bigger than money, bigger than real estate. They're the ultimate.
Yeah. But there are some people out there that maybe given a certain opportunity to use someone else's money, they would take advantage of it and maybe do things that they wouldn't do with their own.
Yeah.
What makes you choose to be honest and genuine and try to look out for people's best interest?
Reputation's huge. Like, reputation and relationship are like the number ones. They rank up there at the top. Like, if people think that you're scum, nobody's going to invest with you. Nobody at the meetup groups is going to be happy to talk to you. Nobody's going to respect your opinion because you're dishonest.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It seems like it's a pretty tight-knit community. I haven't been part of these networking groups for too long, but now I see that everyone knows each other. You talk to one person, they'll call out a different person's name, and then you go around the group and everyone knows who that is. So you're definitely right. Your reputation is going to go around.
It's huge.
So, yeah. How many properties do you plan on owning yourself? Do you have a certain goal in mind?
I had a number when I started investing of 10. I bought one or two, and I was like, you know what? I remember saying to a buddy, I said, I want 10 properties. And he's like, oh my God, you want 10? Like, that's crazy. And I thought to myself, that is crazy, but let's set that expectation and try to get there. Yeah. I think we've owned over 20 or 25 in the last couple of years, right? They've kind of come and gone. Some were flips, some I kept, some are multifamily now. But I don't have a number of doors. I think at some point it's going to roll over into lifestyle. So like return on time, like we were talking about before. If having 50 doors is great financially, but it's too cumbersome for my lifestyle, then I don't really want that. You know? But I think that maybe 100 doors may be less cumbersome because you can hire somebody to manage all of that, whereas at 50 doors you couldn't. Or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't have a property amount in mind.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about your We Buy Home strategy.
Yeah.
Has that been effective for you? Because you see signs, it depends where, but you see them all over the streets and stuff. And I'm just not so sure of how many people actually call. How has that experience been for you?
Yeah, it's a challenging game. I mean, I still strongly believe that's where the money's made. It's in the buy, which is why I continue to do it. But I mean, you really got to pound out marketing and like keep your ear to the ground and talk to realtors and talk to investors and talk to people who are getting foreclosed on by the bank that you can help, at least get them something so the bank doesn't wipe them out altogether. It's a challenge, but if you can see opportunity there like I do, that's why I focus on it so heavily.
Mm-hmm. And so today, are you still using that strategy primarily to find properties, or is there something else that's working better for you?
Yeah, I market, right? I do like mailers and posters and all this stuff. I door knock. Like when quite often we'll move into a neighborhood and buy one or two. And as we do that, the neighbors will be like, oh, who are these guys with like my crew, right? Who are these guys with the crew shirts on? Who are these guys that are carrying lumber into this house? It's great that they're cleaning up that house in the neighborhood because it was an eyesore for so many years. Like all of these things take place organically that don't cost you anything at all.
Yeah.
Like if you can find one really bad fixer upper and chat with the neighbors, and then the neighbors start to like you, and then they keep their eyes open for you. Like it's good relations with the neighborhood and the neighbors. But I mean, that's a pretty organic way to grow your business too.
And has that resulted in you finding certain properties when you maybe door knock or just when people see you around the neighborhood?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
yep.
Great. And you're also pretty active on your social media. You seem to have certain instructional videos, and you walk people through what you're doing.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about how that has helped you as well in your career?
For sure. So I've always been a little bit off the beaten path with some of my strategies. We've done this thing called the vertical split, which is just a different way for me to cut up 2-unit homes, like duplexes, from the traditional basement apartment method to something that's a little bit more above grade centric. So both units end up with above grade units. I've done a little bit of that. And then, I mean, also, I just like to kind of get it out there as to what I'm doing, and without the expectation of anything in return. Like it's people like people like you see what I'm doing, and you reach out, you say, hey, do you want to do a podcast? Like I would have never had that opportunity if I kept it all to myself. Yeah. So getting out there and sharing with others, and hopefully they can take away something from that as well, is a lot of fun. It's gratifying.
Yeah, for sure. I feel the same way. I just enjoy doing something like this, like interviewing and talking to people. Yeah. So the next question, can you tell us a bit more about how you came up with the idea of doing a vertical split, and what kind of value does it add to your properties?
For sure. So my wife and I have a couple friends that live in like a semi-detached. It's more of a back split style home. So you would walk in on the main floor, and then you could go downstairs another level, and they had some bedrooms and a bathroom and a kitchen down there. And we saw this layout and we're like, God, this is really cool, because it's kind of like they've got above grade living. They're not really stuck in a basement, but then they've got kind of the best of both worlds, where it's cool and quiet down there without, neighbors up above. So I'm like, I kind of took that back, and I'm pondering on it. I'm like, how can I take this idea and replicate that in other properties that aren't built the way that their house was? And then the vertical split was kind of born. Like I had pen and paper, and I'm like, okay, how can I do this in a bungalow? And then how can I do it in a semi? And how can I do it in a 2-story? And how can I do it in a side split? Like I was, just kind of spitballing that. And basically what came out the other end was all of these different methods to renovate properties in a method or in a manner that allowed people more main floor living. So you weren't stuck in a basement without losing some of the square footage that may have been taken up by different types of construction methods. So I did a lot with the city of Oshawa. It took me a long time to actually work with them on the permits and get it set up the way that it could actually function based on their parameters and their rules, and based on the way that I wanted to see the property perform. And now it's just been fantastic. We're seeing like an extra $200 to $400 a month in cash flow, depending on the property, which is, in my opinion, pretty huge. Some people don't cash flow at all on anything they do. Yeah. So to have an extra $200 to $400 is like a home run. And beyond that, it's just been a great way to manage properties, because tenants realize that the only people living above them in this situation is typically them. So it's been great.
Yeah. Have you seen other people begin to implement that strategy in their own portfolio?
I have. I absolutely have. So there's the odd shout out that ends up on Facebook or on Twitter or something
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. And I do catch it. They're like, hey, doing the vertical split. And before, like, I came up with the term, right? So I know at least at some point down the road, they heard it from me or somebody through me. So that's really cool. Not that I ever expect anything from it, but it's just cool to see.
Yeah.
And then there's been a few articles out there, people talking about how to cut up units and whether it's a basement apartment or vertical split and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of gratifying. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess part of, or kind of a side effect of what you're doing is that you're impacting your community, not just by renovating these homes and improving the neighborhood, but also by helping others and allowing them to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So how does it feel to know that you're making an impact?
I don't know if I always think about it like that, like I'm that guy that's making change, but it is cool to see that people are out there doing something a little bit different. And I think the tenants appreciate it. Like for a long time, I managed my own properties, and I still do to some extent, but to see the way that the tenants react to the homes and then see the way 6 months later, get the feedback as to how they actually performed.
Yeah.
I think that's really gratifying to see change in the industry that way.
You're a young guy, and I'm just wondering, how much of your time are you spending on learning how to properly build and defend your wealth in the future? Are you studying constantly certain books and listening to podcasts and doing stuff like that to ensure that you're going to be able to protect your wealth?
Yeah, I'm generally a fairly conservative investor overall. Like, I hear a lot of stories, especially in the meetup groups and stuff, of people doing different deals. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, logistically, did you really make money doing that? Like, again, if money's your goal, and for the most part, like if you're in business, that's what your goal is. You got to be really critical and really creative as to what you're going to pick and what you're going to invest in and what you're not, right? Sometimes the best deal is no deal at all. So I'm absolutely defensive with a lot of my wealth. Do I keep a buffer for hard times? I do. Do I try and split some of the risk to a JV partner when I feel that the risk is warranted? Or I shouldn't even say split the risk, like split the profits with a JV partner when I feel like maybe I'm overexposed because I have too many properties on the go. I will absolutely do that. Bring somebody else in to say, let's take this one on together. So yeah, I'm a fairly conservative investor when it comes to being risk adverse.
For sure. And are you planning, or do you already invest in things outside of real estate, or is everything 100% focused on real estate?
I'm not 100% focused on real estate, but I'm fairly real estate centric. So I've got some other investments and stuff like that, but nothing that even really compares in terms of dollars and cents to bricks and sticks.
Great.
Yep.
And so right now your wife isn't involved in your business. Is she doing her own something else that's maybe her own business or something of that sort?
Yeah, she is. So she was in marketing for a little while. Now she's branched off into co-working. So she's doing a co-working space in Durham, in Bowmanville. And basically, for anybody who doesn't know what co-working space is, it's basically an office that's been chopped up into micro offices that people can rent by the hour and do their meetings and do their seminars and do their yoga classes or whatever people do in these rental spaces. And she's basically created this really cool brand where people could come in and do just that and rent the space by the hour and also do it by membership. So she likes it. Yeah.
That sounds pretty cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah. And how are you supporting each other in your businesses?
We don't have kids, right? So we're very, very business focused right now in our lifestyle. So I think, every night we're bouncing ideas off each other and text messages and phone calls and like, hey, what do you think about this? And, what do you think about that? How should we hire this next employee? And, we're very business focused. So we really just balance each other off in conversation.
For sure.
Yeah.
Are you also offering coaching services as part of what you do?
I do. I take on a handful of coaching clients every year. Sometimes it's like surrounded around duplexes. Sometimes it's completely different. Sometimes it's just, telephone consultations, which, people can do from anywhere. And that seems to be the most popular lately, is because it's quick and you can do a session and you can get the information you need, like just the quick nuts and bolts, and you can move on with it. That's what I've been up to lately with the coaching stuff.
So how are you able to do all of these things? You got the list of things that you do in your own business, then you're helping out your wife. How do you have the energy to do all of that?
You got to enjoy what you do, right? Like, I genuinely enjoy the business surrounding real estate and the hustle and, talking to people and doing stuff like this. I love it, right? Which means for me, it's motivating. For me, a 9-to-5 wasn't motivating after a while. I mean, it started off when I was doing the armored cars and it was like the coolest thing ever, man. Like, seriously, we were having a lot of fun building these cars, and it got to the point where it was no longer fun anymore. Right. And now I found my stride doing real estate, and the vigor's come back. Like, it's been really good. It's self-motivating. When you're successful, it's even more motivating, right? And so that's just how it keeps me going.
Cool. Yeah, you definitely have to love what you do, and then the energy just finds you for sure. Okay, I'm going to get into the next segment, which is called the Random 5. I'm going to ask you totally random questions.
Okay.
And then you can just answer whatever comes to mind first.
I'm nervous. All right.
All right. So the first question is, would you rather go to the moon or go to Mars?
The moon.
Keep in mind that there's no coming back if you go to Mars.
That's what I'm saying. The moon. We got to go to the moon. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you did say the moon.
Yeah, we're going to the moon.
All right, you're going to the moon. Okay, cool.
I think it's solid ground there. Mars might be too, but the moon looks bright and cheery.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
When was the last time you bought someone flowers?
Bought someone flowers. It would have been a funeral.
Oh, okay.
Recently.
Recent funeral?
That's what it would have been.
All right, I wasn't expecting that.
I know. It's the random 5. You never know where it's going to go.
5, exactly.
Yeah.
Sesame Street or Barney?
Sesame Street.
Really?
Big Bird. Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I've never seen an episode of Sesame Street before. Okay. Do you prefer chicken or steak?
Chicken.
Chicken?
Yep.
Running or biking?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Running.
Running? Okay. Typically, I ask kind of deeper questions, but this one is like a either or.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd make it quick and different. Okay. And before we end things, I just wanted to see if there was anything you wanted to, if there is a message you want to share or anything you'd like to get across.
Not really, man. I really appreciate having me on today, and thank you so much for this opportunity. It's great to take part and help some other people out. I love it.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy to have you because a lot of people that are probably going to listen to this will be around our age.
Yeah,
I think that you can certainly inspire them.
Cool.
Do you want to tell people how they can reach you if they want any of your coaching services or if they want to work with you in any way?
Yeah, you can get me at info@rwcarinvestment.com, or you can just go to the website and kind of browse through what's going on there, and that's rwcarinvestment.com as well.
Great. All right. Again, thank you very much for being on the show.
Awesome. Thank you.